Hello again. We're back to talk about my medications. And I'm not going to go into everything about it, like everything I've taken, how much of everything I've taken, because that's just too much to explain. So, the most important one to me, though, the most memorable one, and I feel like, and I don't know for sure, you can comment, my epileptic friends, if you know about this one. But my most memorable medication is Keppra. Keppra is terrible. Keppra is Satan. Because Keppra was used for my early diagnosis, both for Chiari malformation and epilepsy. And it turned me into an irrational and angry monster. It was terrible. For example, I went on a camping trip with my family, and some bugs decided to join me for a meal. I don't remember which meal, but they decided to join me for a meal. And I didn't appreciate that. So I was about ready to throw my plate. I was on the verge of screaming obscenities. I knew I was using some colorful language, but it was ugly, in front of my whole family, including my younger nephews. Well, looking back, that's kind of embarrassing. That's really embarrassing. Another example was my first semester at this college I transferred to, and let's just make a great impression on everybody. Somebody said anyways, and I'm kind of a grammar freak. Not much of one, but a little bit. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I know enough to know that anyways is bad. And I was ready to throw hands. Any normal circumstance where if I were, I guess you could say, not under the influence, I would have just twitched it off and walked away. But no, I out loud corrected this person. I wasn't very happy about it. Like I said, under any normal circumstance, I would have just walked away. This medication caused problems with my family. It made me angry. It did. It just made me angry. It made me hard to trust. It just made it hard for me to trust people. And the biggest issue I had, I think, during that whole time was with my mom, especially after a car accident I had because of a seizure. And I'll go into my seizures later. There was a big load of drama with my mom, even before the car accident. And it was hard. But after my issue with Keppra, during this whole ordeal, it was hard for me to recognize my seizures. But sometimes I could tell, so every time I had a seizure, we bumped the dose. And we bumped the dose until I maxed out. So after that, thank God I maxed out on Keppra. But eventually it made me depressed. Really depressed. So I had to get put on an antidepressant to fix the damage, I guess you could say, after I got put on this new med. Well, I was on this new med for a bit, but every month or so I had a seizure, and we had to bump the dose on that. And eventually we paired it up with a second med. And the issue with that was this med was kind of a pain. I mean, this first med after Keppra worked really great for a while. It was okay for a while. I think even during that med, I went about 3 months without having a seizure. But when I finally did have one, we had to bump the dose, bump the dose, bump the dose until I maxed. So then we paired me with this second med. And this second med was problematic because, frankly, it made me dumb. Every time we pushed it, it was really hard for me to process things. My memory wasn't great. It made people frustrated with me, which in turn made me frustrated. It was a pain. And so after that wasn't working, we had to put me on a new med this year. And that one has been kind of a pain too. It's made me kind of sluggish. But these meds, every time we've had to max out these meds, it's been putting me on a process for making me a possible candidate for surgery. And doctors consider me medical refractory epilepsy. They consider me a medical refractory epileptic, which means that my medications don't control my seizures. And the longest period before now I've gone without having seizures was that 90-day period. But now I haven't had a seizure for 5 months as of yesterday, which has been great because I can drive. Yay. Because when you have a seizure, you can't drive until 90 days after your last seizure, which kind of puts a wrench in things. Because I have to have my friends tote me around to get medications. I feel like I'm 80 sometimes. But thank the Lord I can drive now. But the seizures themselves are extremely frustrating. And with that being said, I will talk about my seizures in the next episode. Thanks again for watching. And again, I will see you next time.